Board games were primarily played by adults in ancient cultures, and with their deep roots in society, though, as people grew up, their children started to play games. And so, one of the first games that is known of for children is hopscotch. So, that's actually probably a lot older than you, or at least I knew. I really didn't think of it as sort of an ancient game. So, the first references to hopscotch are actually from 500 BCE. And so there are many variations played of this game, but most of them are the same. The first player tosses a coin or a bean bag or some sort of marker or stone, and then you try to avoid the square with that marker in it. The name hopscotch actually, or sort of Scotch hopper, is because scotch is sort of the marking of a line on the pavement. So it's sort of an incised or a scratch. So it's hopping between the scratches, which I think is kind of fun. What? You've never heard of the Landlord's Game? It was invented by Lizzie Magie, one of America's first board game designers. And the game board consisted of a square track with a row of properties around the outside, and players could buy them. The board had 4 railroads, 2 utilities, a jail, and a corner named Labor Upon Mother Earth Produces Wages, which earned players $100 every time they passed it. Sound familiar? That's because you probably know it from a different name. Maggie had invented and patented the Landlord's Game in 1904 and designed the game to be a practical demonstration of land grabbing with all its usual outcomes and consequences. She had based it on the economic principle of Georgism, a system proposed by Henry George, with the object of demonstrating how rents enrich property owners and impoverish tenants. She knew that people would find it hard to understand why that happened and what might be done about it, and thought that the idea might be better put into a concrete form in a game. Maggie hoped that when children played the game, it would provoke them to think about kind of how unfair that might be, and that they might carry that awareness into adulthood. So in 1935, Maggie sold her patent for the landlord game to Parker Brothers, which is now what we know as Monopoly. And so this game, which launched Parker Brothers as to a massive success, was originally rejected by them. They didn't want it at first. And after their success with Monopoly, they did go on to produce Risk and Sorry, Trivial Pursuit, and many, many more. Lizzie, who sold her original patent for the game, sold it for $500. More recently, we've seen an upswing in new games, and not just the classics that many of us will remember from our childhoods. One area of new games are a category called Euro games, and they're a class of games that are generally downplay luck and have more strategy and less and more sort of indirect player engagement. And so you're not often as directly trying to beat your friends and family, but you're trying to reach a goal. And sometimes that may be cooperative, and sometimes it may be that each of you are independently trying to reach different goals or using resources in different ways. Catan's popularity in the United States has gotten it dubbed the board game of our time by the Washington Post. It was also featured in a 2012 documentary film called Going Cardboard, which details the game's impact on American gaming communities. The game was created by Klaus Teber, who was working as a dental technician outside the industrial city of Darmstadt in Germany in the 80s. Tabor was designing elaborate board games in his basement in his free time, just as a way to escape from work. Now 62, Teber is somewhat baffled by the popularity of his creation. He never expected that it would be so successful. Settlers of Catan was one of the primary catalysts for the sudden popularity in the United States of board games, and it made many people hungry for more games that at the time had sort of different rules and different ways of playing, not just sort of the same old games.